Hi friends, Phil here. Hope you're doing well. I wanted to share with you something that came up yesterday with one of the participants in a seminar I conducted for the U.S. Army. I spent the day with them yesterday, and we were actually covering all of the topics in my book, From Oil Rags to Riches, How to Live a Life Rich with Purpose. And we were talking about the various concepts that I teach in the book here on living a life with purpose. And one of the things that came up with a young man there, he said to me, he said, Phil, I understand, focusing on personal growth and awareness and all the things that we were talking about that are identified in the book. But he said that he finds himself oftentimes in an environment that really isn't conducive to this kind of a positive mindset. Because I was talking about being around the right people, right? People that will encourage you rather than discourage you, people that will talk about what's possible for you, what's not possible for you. And he said to me that, he is kind of stuck because the environment that he is in is not conducive to growth. It's an environment that is really negative. And I'm assuming he's talking about his family and how do you just, get away from your family, right? And so he seemed like he was struggling. And so we went through this process of trying to understand, whether he has choice or not, right? And we all have choices, okay? So, I asked him, do you have choices here? And he felt kind of stuck. And as we went through this process, I shared with him something interesting, right? Because when you talk about, your environment and is it conducive to growth, you've got to ask yourself, right? Is it or isn't it? And if it isn't, and you can extract yourself from that, then you can do that. But it didn't seem like he could. So the concept was this, right? So I'm going to start with actually talking about the environment and why it's so important, because everything in the universe, right, for it to grow, because everything's either growing or dying. It's either, expanding or disintegrating, right? There's no fixed state. So I said to him, everything is like this. And so we have to put ourselves in an environment for growth, otherwise we're dying. And I mean that in the emotional sense or the psychological sense or internally, right? Not physically, but it could be physically. And so I use the example of, let's just say that I had a carrot seed in my hand right now, and I placed it here on my desk. Well, that carrot seed could grow into a carrot. That's the pattern plan for it. However, if it's on my desk here and it's sitting here for a long period of time, it's not in the environment necessary for it to grow. In other words, it can't attract the things to it that will, activate the seed and have it grow into a carrot. So it'll just sit here, and over time, it will just die. It will disintegrate over a long period of time. And so if I take the carrot seed now and I plant it in the ground and in fertile soil, and I make sure that the soil is nourished, right? And so now it's in the right environment for it to grow. It will attract to it all the things necessary for it to eventually sprout and become a carrot. So the seed, depending on where it is either going to die or it's going to grow. So if we put it in an environment conducive to growth, it'll attract all the things necessary for it to grow and it'll become a carrot. Well, as a human being, it's no different, right? We can put ourselves in an environment that's conducive to growth, or we can put ourselves in an environment that isn't. And so we have that choice. And so if you are in an environment that is not conducive to growth and you can't get out of it because in essence, you're with your family or whatever it is, or it's a difficult situation that you don't think you can get out of, then there is something else that you can do. You can bring things into your environment that will help you continue to grow. In other words, you can bring the soil into your environment. You can bring that pot of soil into your environment as a metaphor, right? So what things can you bring in? Can you bring in possibly, a really good book and immerse yourself in good books that could help you grow? Could you maybe listen to some audios that would be helpful and conducive to growth? Could you reach out to a coach like myself or somebody else that could help keep you immersed in your growth? Could you join a group? And like the group that I have, and it's called our Bridge the Knowing Doing Gap Inner Circle. Could you join a group of other like-minded people that would help you stay conducive in that growth environment? Could you join a club or a church or something, right? So could you bring into your life, right, the environment that's required for you to grow? And the answer to that question is absolutely yes. Regardless of your environment, regardless of the family members that might be toxic or negative, you can always bring into your environment the soil that's necessary, that's fertile for you to grow. So don't use an excuse like I have this environment that's not conducive to growth for me not to grow, okay? Because as you can see, maybe you might not be in the right environment, but maybe you could create it for yourself. I hope this served you. And hey, listen, if you really want to learn more about these concepts, pick up my book on Amazon or go to my website and pick up the book. I can promise you it'll be a really great read for you, but it's an easy read too because I want to say I'm pretty simple-minded, so it's a pretty easy read, but it'll teach you a lot. There's a lot of valuable information, and if you're looking for some fertile soil to bring into your world, it's right here. And if you'd like to get even deeper into this, whether that's coaching with me or maybe getting into a group environment, please take a look here on my website and join my Bridge to Knowing Doing Gap Inner Circle. I can promise you it'll be a great place for you to get that soil that you need in your environment so that you can grow into the person that you know you deserve to be. Thanks for watching.